Okay, we are live. ¿Qué tal, amigos? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with this evening's live stream, 7:35 p.m. Spain mainland time, the 24th of June. And as always, looking at some of the main stories that have caught my attention in the press today. Lots of stories about different topics related to NATO, related to corruption, all of the usual things happening in Spain at the moment. We'll also take a look at some comments that have been left on the channel in recent times by viewers, and we'll go into the chat section towards the end of the video and say hello to some of the people in that chat section. So if you are watching this evening, say hello. Now, straight into the news, and as we know, the Spanish government, or part of the Spanish coalition government, the majority of the Spanish government, the PSOE side, the socialist side, involved in a corruption scandal currently, with some big names formerly associated with the government. Now, of course, they have left Parliament, or at least left the party, one of them. And, of course, the police here, the Guardia Civil, the Civil Guard, investigating still this corruption case. And as we can see here, the government gave one of the main ringleaders allegedly in this corruption scandal, Mr. Cerdán, 7 billion euros in public works data 1 day before the police report. On the 11th of June, just 1 day before, Spain's Civil Guard released a report implicating Santos Cerdán in allegedly receiving kickbacks for contract awards. The government provided him with detailed information on public works investments exceeding 7 billion euros. This figure is based on written responses submitted to Parliament and compiled by El Mundo. Notably, until that point, Cerdán, formerly the PSOE's party number 3, had never submitted formal questions about public works through Congress channels. Despite telling the press on the 20th of May he had often asked about such projects, records show no official queries. Until the 9th of May, shortly after news broke linking him to the UCO investigation into his communications with Koldo García. The PSOE later justified his sudden interest as part of a coordinated political strategy by the party's parliamentary group to highlight the government's achievements since the 2018 no-confidence motion using concrete regional data. So, one of the main people implicated in this scandal, Mr. Cerdán, Santos is his first name, Cerdán is his surname. Interested in all of this public works data, of course, and the Civil Guard will most likely say that he used that data to get those contracts for his company that he set up in the autonomous community of Navarra, and more news coming to light about that company today. And, of course, all of this public money, the allegations are there for the kickbacks, of course, the big companies here in Spain getting these contracts and under the table money to these politicians. Those are the allegations. And, of course, that's the issue that the government is dealing with. And Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez holding on still to power in the government and that political party. But for how long, nobody knows, because people are now appearing in the Supreme Court giving their evidence. And, of course, the question is that many people have, with these people so close to Prime Minister Sánchez, how is it possible that he knew nothing about what was going on? Those are the questions that people want to know. He has apologized to the Spanish people, I think. He apologized or said sorry at least 7 or 8 times during a parliamentary session last week or the week before. But are the public here in Spain going to accept the apologies of the Prime Minister, or should elections be called? That is the question. In the meantime, the European Union is investigating Spain, as we can see here, because of a potential misuse of COVID recovery funds by a Spanish political network. The European Union has launched an investigation into whether COVID recovery funds from the Next Generation EU program were illicitly diverted to individuals linked to a Spanish political corruption network involving José Luis Ábalos, Koldo García, and Santos Cerdán. According to El Confidencial newspaper, 21 million euros in contracts funded by the EU were allegedly awarded to companies including Acciona, OPR, and Servinabar, the latter partly owned 45% by Mr. Cerdán. The contracts relate to 4 ADIF infrastructure projects worth over 500 million euros. The suspected fraud involves illegal commissions paid in exchange for public works contracts, with OPR receiving nearly 8.5 million euros and Cervenabar almost 8 million euros. Spain's Supreme Court Judge Leopoldo Puente considers there is sufficient evidence of wrongdoing, pointing to Cerdán as responsible for distributing the kickbacks. If proven, the European Commission could demand the recovery of the funds unless the Spanish government acts first to reclaim them. So the usual story here, unfortunately, the European Union investigating this misuse of public money. I'm sure that this is not the first time that this has happened. All of this money pours into the country, billions and billions of euros in the form of COVID recovery funds, because as we know, during COVID, the Spanish economy was absolutely smashed with no tourists arriving here. It took years to recover thanks to the European Union pumping money into the country. The country was able to get back up standing on its own 2 feet. But of course now these greedy politicians at the top of the chain allegedly, I'll say that word again, allegedly, because nothing has been proven in court yet, of course, taking money by awarding these contracts to these companies, these big infrastructure projects, of course, and other money that was in the hands of the Spanish government, thanks to the European Union. Third piece of news now, and NATO, a hot topic at the moment because Spain doesn't want to pay 5% of GDP, which is what Mr. Trump is asking for, of course. As we can see here, NATO believes Spain must boost defence spending to 3.5% of GDP at least, despite Spain's recent agreement with NATO to apply a more flexible interpretation of defence spending targets. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte insists that Spain will ultimately need to raise its military expenditure to 3.5% of GDP. This figure is part of the final declaration of the NATO summit in The Hague, expected to be approved by allied members this Wednesday. The agreement allows Spain to allocate what it deems necessary, provided it meets the military capability goals approved by NATO defence ministers on the 5th of June. While Spain, under Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez, believes it can meet these objectives with a 2.1% defence budget, NATO remains convinced that the full compliance will require a 3.5% commitment. The broader framework includes a total of 5% defence target, combining 3.5% in direct military spending and 1.5% in dual-use infrastructure. Rutte emphasised this during a press conference ahead of the summit. So there we go. To spend or not to spend, that's the question. Spain promising, I think last year or earlier this year, they did promise to increase spending. But of course, the twist in things here in Spain regarding these corruption scandals, and the other partner in the government, remember, is a far left party, and they don't believe in defence spending. They prefer the money to go on social things, of course, and that's where the debate lies. The European Union and NATO pressuring Spain to spend more money, but Mr. Sánchez, he's not going to get the support of the people he needs to help him continue in government if he puts more money into defence, and they've got it over him at the moment. That is the question. While all of this is happening, Mr. Trump has been on the Twitter machine or on the phone or whatever Mr. Trump does, and has said that Spain is a NATO spending problem, and he is demanding a 5% defence target. Donald Trump has reiterated his demand for NATO member states to increase defence spending to 5% of GDP ahead of the critical NATO summit in The Hague. Addressing the press before the event, Trump singled out Spain, stating bluntly that Spain is a problem when it comes to NATO spending. This marks the second time he has directly criticised Spain's defence contributions, previously warning that NATO would have to deal with the country if it failed to increase its investment. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez, however, has firmly rejected these demands. In a letter sent to NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, Sánchez argued that committing to a 5% target would be unreasonable and counterproductive for Spain, asserting it would move the country away from its optimal spending level. The dispute reflects broader tensions within the alliance over defence burden sharing and rising pressure from key NATO figures. So that's the issue at the moment. Trump putting pressure on Spain and other countries to up their spending 5%. The NATO summit being held. Everyone is arriving in The Hague at the moment, I believe, Mr. Trump included, on his Air Force One jet. And he's also said something else today that I don't have information to at the moment. But the head of NATO in Europe, Mr. Rutte, has also promised that Europe will spend big. So the NATO man promising Mr. Trump the big spending, but Sanchez saying that counterproductive were the words he used, counterproductive and unreasonable, as we can see here. So we'll see what happens as far as this is concerned. But as we know, Mr. Sanchez might not have too much longer in power, or he might. Nobody knows exactly as far as Spanish politics is concerned. We'll take a look at some comments that have been left on the channel recently by viewers. The first one here from Daka Brom. In the past, I was a fan of Vips, the restaurant, but in my opinion, the quality has been going down. Thanks for the comment there. Yes, a very popular restaurant here in Madrid at least. Not sure if you can find Vips in different parts of the country. I think some other cities around do have Vips outlets, fast food outlets. The American Diner is the closest restaurant that I would say to Vips, the typical diner that you walk in if you want, a cheap, well, not necessarily that cheap anymore, but if you want a burger, if you want some pancakes, if you want breakfast, if you want a light dinner, Vips is a restaurant that many people go to. And I still see Vips restaurants crowded, at least here where I am. They seem to be busy every day. They offer a menu del dia. People like the variety of the menu, and they always have what's on the menu, which is important because there's nothing worse than going to a restaurant, ordering something, and then being told, oh, sorry, we don't have that, which can happen often as well. But Vips always seems to have everything available on the menu. And as I said, a diverse menu. Quality going downhill? I don't know. That's a personal opinion, of course. We'll see if other people agree that are familiar with the Vips brand. Don't know. But thanks for the comment there, Daka Brom. Another one here from Mark. Concerning the power outage, of course it was caused by renewable energy. These things never happened when we had only conventional power, apart from when everyone was on strike in the UK in the 70s. Mark, thanks for the comment. No doubts, according to Mark, that renewable energy was to blame for the blackout that took place a couple of months ago now, the 29th or the 28th of April, I think it was. Don't quote me on the exact date. I'm going to say the 29th, but I could be wrong. Renewables. Well, the government came out last week and said that renewables were not to blame. Of course, the government might be compromised when it comes to renewables because they put all of their effort into changing Spain's electricity makeup with renewables at the forefront, trying to get rid of nuclear energy, which seems to be the choice of some people out there. But Mr. Sanchez and company saying, it wasn't renewables. They also said it wasn't a cyber attack, but I saw people in the comment section saying, yes, it was a cyber attack. So what was the story? Do you guys know more than the government? Do you guys know more than the experts? I don't know. That's the question. But according to the government, as I said, the only data that we can go on, it wasn't renewables. It wasn't renewables. But then again, I read something in the UK press that said that it was renewables. So again, I'm confused on the topic. I don't know. But all I want to know is that all I want is a guarantee that it's not going to happen again, basically. That's all I would like, or at least not for the amount of time that it happened the last time, which was too long for a lot of people. But anyway, thanks, Mark, for the comment. Next one here from Audrey. Please do research before moving to Spain. One of my friends who lived in Madrid told me he very difficult to see a doctor. Thanks, Audrey. Thanks for your effort with the English language, obviously learning. You can use ChatGPT nowadays to write perfect English if you want. You put your language in, spit it out in ChatGPT or another AI bot, and you get a perfect translation, unlike the broken English that we have from Audrey here. Not criticizing Audrey. When it comes to the health situation here in Spain, it's going to depend on where you are, because the autonomous communities, the 17 autonomous communities, control health. There is a central government health ministry, but the real power, the distribution and all of the hiring of doctors and nurses, etc., and the system in general is controlled by the autonomous communities. And I have been told, even though I live in Madrid and I only use the Madrid system, people have told me that in this autonomous community it's not bad, in that autonomous community it's not very good, etc. Okay, so it depends on where you are. I hope I've made that point clear. In Madrid, it is true that you can wait a little too long, in my opinion, for a doctor's appointment. A lot of the medical centres, especially with the online apps, don't seem to have a very fast system. You look at the closest appointments, and sometimes they can be 7, 8, 9, 10 days away. What we normally do, or at least what my partner normally does, is she calls the medical centre directly to see if there's anything available on that day. Or the other option that you have is you go to like a type of urgency or emergency medical situation if you feel that is the case. And that's what a lot of people do. You'll see them lining up with colds and flus. They don't want to have to wait 7 days to see a doctor to get their prescriptions and things like that, so they go through the emergency system. Should they be doing that? I don't know, but that's the way to get through quickly. But yes, wait times for doctors here in Spain, and I imagine in other places as well, have slowed down over the years. So thanks, Audrey, for the comment there. Another one here from Mojo Johnson. The Mar Menor is a natural saltwater lagoon which was formed, I imagine that should say, by the La Manga Strip, which runs out from the mainland. So on one side you have the Mediterranean Sea and the other the lagoon. So in fact, when you made it to the beach area, you were on the Mar Menor, which has quite a history. You should check it out. Thanks, Mojo. The Mar Menor, the natural saltwater lagoon, which in recent times has had some issues. Let's be honest about that. Some pollution issues going back quite a while now. I think some of the first issues, well, I don't know exactly when they were, but I read earlier that 2016 there were obviously some pollution issues with the Mar Menor. Again in 2018, I think, 2021, etc. And every time there are heavy rains or flooding in the area, the Mar Menor is affected, and people go down to the Mar Menor walking along the beach, and they discover dead fish for whatever reasons. Probably a lack of oxygen in the water caused by some type of algae bloom or something like that. Other types of pesticides, and maybe that are coming down into the waters from the nearby farming lands, because that part of Murcia, or that part of Spain, is quite unique in the fact that there's a lot of farming around the part of the Mar Menor. You see a lot of farmland, and of course there are hills close by as well. I imagine that water washes down from those hills. Also the golf courses in the area. There's a town called Torre Pacheco, which I couldn't believe the construction going on. They're building more golf courses there at the moment. I don't know how many there are in Torre Pacheco, but of course the fertilizers that you need for the lawn and of golf courses, all of those things. Increased population means more stress on the environment as well. And the victim has been the Mar Menor, and people have protested. The European Union is looking into it as well, but it all comes down to government neglect in that area for decades, apparently. What's going on in Murcia, and I'm going to say, no offense to people from Murcia or people that live in Murcia currently, because I know there are people watching these videos that do live in that part of Spain, but it's a strange part of the country, I will say. It's a strange part of the country. That's all I'm going to say on the matter. I saw things in Murcia. I've been there quite a few times in recent years. Even this year I've been there on a couple of occasions, and you see things there that you don't see in other parts of the country. That's all I'm going to say. Thanks, Mojo. Another comment here from Jeff. All politicians are the same, corrupt and inept. That's it. Thanks, Jeff, for a blunt statement there. All politicians are the same, corrupt and inept. That's it. End of discussion. Nothing else to debate with Jeff there. Lost faith in the political system. I'm sure, Jeff, that not all politicians are corrupt. There's lots of politicians out there here in Spain. There are numerous politicians at different levels. You've got your local politicians, which have been corrupt in the past, of course. You've got your autonomous community politicians, and there have been scandals in there as well. And then, of course, you've got the top dogs up there in the central government looking over the whole country. And again, we're facing a political corruption scandal. Are they all corrupt? I would like to think no, that is not the case, because if that were the case, then why bother with the system that we have if everyone's corrupt? Let's just let it go to the dogs and we'll all just fight for ourselves. What about that? No rules, no regulations, no corruption. That sounds like a good idea, Jeff. But I don't think, as I said, in my opinion, again, my opinion, all politicians are corrupt. There are some bad eggs, but again, get 100 people together on the side of the street, and I'm sure that 97% would be good people, and you'd probably get 3 absolute tools in there as well. So that's what we're dealing with. Are a reflection of society. Is there more corruption in Spain than in other countries? No. Is there a different type of corruption here in Spain? Is there a very basic type of corruption still happening here in Spain that they can't seem to stamp out? Yes. And that's what the people at the top need to look into. Prime Minister Sanchez promised to do that when he came to power because of the previous corruption scandal. He said, I'm going to stamp corruption out. That's what he said. He got up in front of the Spanish population and said, I'm going to stamp this problem out. Hasn't worked, Pedro. Hasn't worked. Hasn't worked. And if it was a few people down the party line, people that we had never heard of, yeah, okay. But we're talking about people that were very, very, very top-ranking, prominent politicians in this country. Mr. Ábalos, during COVID times, was all over the papers and all over the TV. Or the second man in the party, or the third person in the party, Cerdán, who replaced Ábalos. And they were all allegedly in bed together. So that's what we're dealing with. So thanks for that. That's Mojo's comment. We don't want to see that one again. There we go. And the last one here from Aussie John. From Bondi, I imagine. Don't you love the eucalyptus in Spain? Where are the Spanish koalas? Thanks, Aussie John. Yeah, there is a lot of, there are a lot of eucalyptus trees in Spain, some parts of the country. I presume that you are referring to the video that I put out on Saturday, I think it was, or maybe Sunday, not sure, where I was walking around, and yes, there were eucalyptus trees in the Murcia area on the Mar Menor. And if you go to Galicia, for example, you'll see eucalyptus everywhere, because the type of eucalyptus tree that they planted, and coming from Australia, as you do as well, John, you'll know that there are lots of different types of eucalyptus trees. You've got blue gums, you've got, lots of different types. But the one that they chose to grow here, which in fact could be the blue gum, I'm not sure, they chose it for 2 reasons, I believe. One was that it was a fast-growing tree. I think that was the principal reason. But now, of course, the environmentalists, the greenies, are up in arms about eucalyptus. Every year there are serious fires because of eucalyptus trees, burn very quickly, highly flammable. And that's the issue with eucalyptus in Europe, or southern Europe. Portugal, also full of eucalyptus trees. Everywhere you go, you see eucalyptus trees. In central Portugal, at least, that's where I go, that's where I see them. And as I said, in Galicia as well. Are there any koalas up in those trees? No. You're right, John. There are no koalas munching away on those eucalyptus leaves. Thankfully. And coming from where I come from in Australia, I've never seen a koala in the wild. I might have seen one at the zoo when I was a kid. Went to the zoo, might have seen a koala, but I have never, ever, ever seen a koala in the wild. Perhaps the reason is because in Western Australia, I don't think there's any koalas. I think they're an animal that starts in South Australia and works its way around the coast. I think that's the situation with the koala. I could be wrong. In Western Australia, there could be koalas, but I have never seen a koala in the wild. I've seen snakes. I've seen other types of animals, kangaroos, wallabies, all of those things, but I have never, ever, ever seen a koala up in a tree. And I think, as I said, it's because in Western Australia, where I come from, there's none. But I could be wrong. I don't know. Now, I'm going to go into the comment section in just a moment, into the chat section, as we can see here, the live chat. Before I go to the live chat, of course, I need to de-blur the background photo. We can see it here. There it is. And because it's such a hot day where I am in Spain today, and I'm sure that if you're in Spain as well, it's an absolute stinker. If it's not, you're lucky. But this picture here sent in by James and Kathy, regular travellers around Spain, loving the Paradores, the fancy government-run hotel chain here, the Paradores de Estado. And this one coming from the Tortola Parador. Nice picture of the pool in the foreground, and the background, those mountains there in the province of Cuenca. I think this Parador is located, I think. That was the case. But somewhere in Castilla-La Mancha, I think Cuenca is the area. So thanks, guys, for sending that one through. If you have a similar picture you would like to see on the backdrop, the email address is on the screen now, spainspeaks@gmail.com. Feel free to send your photos through to that email address, or anything else that you want to bring to my attention. spainspeaks@gmail.com is the address to send them through to. Now, I'm just going to de-blur the background a bit, because some people like a de-blurred background, if that word even exists, de-blurred. And we'll get a look at that pool. And, wow, yeah, to be able to have a swim at the moment would be fantastic. So spainspeaks@gmail.com for that information. Also, for people that have supported the channel in recent times, whether it's by on the Super Thanks, buying me a coffee, Patreon, I want to say thanks to Guillermo, who bought me some coffees the other day. Thank you very much, Guillermo, for that. Planning a move to Spain in the near future. And, of course, the new channel members. We've got some people that have joined the channel recently as members. One, I suppose here it is a family, travel family, life and love, joined the channel recently. And Blanca Lapifco also joined the channel. So thank you very much, guys, for your support by becoming members of the Spain Speaks YouTube channel. Thank you very much for that. Now, just let me go into the live stream area again here. There we go. And also people that, that's it. And also the channel members, if you want to become a channel member, you can. From 99 cents, you can become a channel member and access some of the videos that have become members only videos. So there we go. Now, what else do I have to do? Let me think. Nothing else, I don't think. Live chat section time. Let's go into that. Barbara is the first person that I can see in the live chat here, coming in from Playa Flamenca, 33 degrees Celsius there, in the low 30s in the UK when Barbara was there last week. I think that was. So 30 degrees in the UK, 33 degrees on the Playa Flamenca. Not much of a difference there, Barbara. Hope the temperatures are to your liking. Sharon saying that tonight on BBC One, there's a documentary about why cities flooded in Valencia on the 29th of October 2024. Must watch, according to Sharon. Thanks, Sharon, for that. I think we know why the cities flooded on the 29th of October. Too much water coming down from the sky. I think that was the reason, and also the infrastructure issues in that part of Spain. But I'm sure the BBC will put their ideas forward after their investigation, of course. Andrew's in the chat here, valued member also, coming in from a hot London. 29 degrees there still. Hot in London, 29. He's on to the old Vino Tinto. Thanks for that. Marianne coming in from the west coast of the United States, San Diego. Spared from the hot weather that's on the east coast of the US at the moment. Greetings to all of the community here. Janet's in the chat, coming in from Oxford. Thank you for that. Janet might catch up later, I imagine, on that documentary. Thanks for that, Janet. I wonder if the EU will or ill, is that will or ill, Charlie, investigate Estuardo as well? What are they going to investigate me for? I've got nothing to be investigated about. I'm not getting any kickbacks. I haven't misused COVID funds. Sani's in the chat here also from Basingstoke in the UK. Hope everyone has had a lovely weekend. Thanks, Sani, for that. Robin, or Robin. Yeah, that name in Spanish, ellos roban. You might be able to use that with the politicians. Robin? Hi, sir. How are you? Thank you very much. I'm well. Hope you're well as well. Robin? Is that Robin from Batman and Robin? Don't know. Al's in the chat also. San Diego too. Beautiful 19 degrees there. Friends on the East Coast are baking. Going to Philadelphia on Friday to get into that hot weather. Hot weather. I'm sure the Puerto de Santa Maria is not as hot as the East Coast of the States. Brad's in the chat. Good evening. Muy buenas. Thanks, Brad, for that. Good to see you. Ezra saying, love when I catch you live, Stu. Legend. Thanks for that, Ezra. Good to see you in the chat today. Paul Gerard wishing everyone a lovely evening. Valued member is Paul Gerard. Regina's coming in from Estonia. Raining there. I'm sure the weather's a bit cooler in Estonia, Regina. Enjoy the cooler weather. High Flyer John is in the chat here. Hoping everyone is well and enjoying the week. Thanks, John. Chrissy's in the chat. Evening, Stuart. Good to see you, Chrissy. Hope it's not too hot where you are. S. Sanchez is proper Teflon. He'll be there for a long time. I don't think he will, S. I don't think he will. True, he has the nickname Teflon because everything just slips off him. Very slippery character indeed is Mr. Sanchez, but I think he'll fall on his own sword, to tell you the truth. The allegations, when they, if they are proven to be true, of course, we've got to let the justice system decide. We know that the government has discredited the police and the justice system over the last 5 years, obviously preparing for this day. Because if you discredit somebody enough, the population starts to believe you, and people start saying, well, maybe the judges in Spain are not impartial. Maybe they are biased towards one side of politics. Maybe the police are all right-wing and we can't trust the police. That's the messages that they have been putting out, questioning the democratic foundations of the country. And, of course, the true believers in the socialist and the Spanish socialist ideology believe the spiel that's put out by the government. So, I don't know. Will he be around for a long time? He shouldn't be. Because we need a change. Whether it's a new leader in that party, new prime minister, or another party, I don't know. Change is always good. That's what some politicians here in Spain don't seem to realise. They want to hold on to power forever. We saw the former mayor of Valencia, who passed away a few years ago, in power for 25 years. Andalusia, the same party, in power for 30 plus years. They need change. But not here. People don't realise that. They want to hold on to power. Obviously looking back through the history books and saying, well, we had a leader for 35 years. I mean, that seemed to be a good model, right? Chrissy's saying that they've got the Kalima where she is there. Hot with the Kalima. Terrible, Chrissy, the Kalima. I saw that Murcia was also going to have some Kalima. Mike coming in from Vermilion. 13 degrees Celsius there. Summer doesn't know if it's coming or going. The issue in that part of the world, Canada. Didier is this saying here, have you ever seen the series Polonia from Catalonia? It's my favourite way to see news since they usually have hilarious skits regarding to do with the recent events and news. Thanks for that. No, I haven't, because I'm not in Catalonia. And we don't get Catalan television where I am unless you specifically go to the Catalonian station. And Polonia, yeah, because here in central Spain, people from, or Catalonia is known as Polonia. And the Catalan people are called Polacos. Why? I've got no idea. But here you'll see people talking about Los Polacos, not referring to people from the country Poland, but referring to the to their fellow countrymen in Catalonia, Los Polacos. Sometimes with adjectives before the word Polaco, which are not all that nice, starting with P. Marcus in the chat here too. Trump wants US to leave NATO. So what's the difference? So what difference does it make to him what Spain spends on defence? Good point, Marcus. Yeah, Trump seems to change his tune on a daily basis. You don't really know what's going to be said on any given day with Mr. Trump. Wakes up on Tuesday and says something. Tuesday lunchtime, something different. So we don't really know where Mr. Trump stands on this, but we'll see. Charlie's saying there's a VIPs in Alicante. There could be, Charlie. I have seen them in other cities, but I don't think they are as prominent as they are in Madrid and maybe in Polonia. There's or in Poland, Catalonia. There's none at all. I don't know. Ezra agrees with NATO. Spain would have lots of money if the government wasn't stealing it all. It will probably have more money, Ezra, to put into those social services, which are so important for the population here. The populations everywhere, right? The health systems, the education systems, the benefit system, all of those things. I'm sure Spain would have more money if there weren't people allegedly taking it at the top. That is true. Brad's saying here that so Trump wants the EU to pay for a war, for wars he starts in favor of genocidal Israel. Is that Trump? Vete a tu país y no vuelve. So Brad, not a fan of Donald Trump there. Marcus with another comment here. There's no problem with renewables as long as there's plenty of storage to soak up the peaks in output, batteries, pumped hydro, etc., but it's expensive. Maybe that's the issue, Marcus, that there wasn't enough money spent on the infrastructure for all of these renewables. I don't know. I think it was an article in the Telegraph that Janet sent me that said that the renewable energy on that particular day was so abundant that the prices dropped. So they turned off the plants. At least that's what I understood. But nothing. I didn't see anything like that from the government here. Liz, hello Stu. I think that VIP or VIPs quality has declined a bit. At least the ones I've gone to lately. Maybe some VIPs restaurants are better than others. They could be. That is true. They could be. The ones that I've been to, they all seem to be working fairly similar. The service always seems to be the same. Obviously, the menu doesn't vary in all of the restaurants in Madrid. At least it might vary in some other parts of the country. I don't know. Maybe if it's in Alicante, you can get your you can get some specialties from that part of the country. No idea, but here in Madrid, the things that I ate there, for example, I had a sandwich, I think, last week. Always seems to be the same sandwich. No variation when it comes to that. But you could be right, Liz. You could be right. Charlie gets a doctor's appointment quickly where they are in the small city. Probably the situation, Charlie, that there's a better ratio doctors per citizen, maybe. I don't know. That could be the thing. It's not nice to criticize other people's use of English. See, this is the point here. See, I didn't criticize. I said this is not a criticism. I actually said that, I think, right? So if I can pronounce your name, I probably can't. So I didn't criticize it. All I said nowadays, if you want to write perfectly in another language, technology can help you. If you want to write perfectly in Spanish, in German, in French, in Portuguese, put it into your native language, hit the button, and it comes out perfectly. Copy, paste, and away you go. Wasn't a criticism. Why do you think it was a criticism? I said it wasn't a criticism. Here we go. Another one from Charlie. It's not nice to criticize people for criticizing other people's use of English. Again, did I criticize or did I just point out that what you can do nowadays so that you don't make mistakes and people don't have trouble reading what you're trying to say? That's the point. The idea is to express yourself, have the other person understand what you want to say. That's the idea, right? Antonio, let's have a look at this one here. Hello, Stuart. Your news are great, but I didn't see anything about Zapatero being with Pedro Sanchez. It looks that though Zapatero Sanchez got big cuts from Venezuelan petrol sold through the Dominican Republic. Again, Antonio, allegations. I think nothing's been proven in the court system, so I have heard stories about this, but whether you believe the allegations or you wait for them to become crimes and judges investigate or police investigate. That hasn't happened yet, I don't think. Marcus, the other problem with waiting times at the doctors is that you have to see the doctor to get the baja, which wastes a huge amount of GP time here in Spain. Probably that is the case, Marcus, to get sick leave, right? TOL, last time in El Puerto, I had an eye injection. I went to a website, Dr. Rosa, and had a visit with the doctor who wrote me a prescription for only €20. There we go. Are we live, says Brad. Are we live? Are we live? Yes, we are. What else we got going on? Charlie played golf in La Manga. It was hot and expensive. There we go. But it's becoming the golf paradise, it seems. Torre Pacheco. Again, is there any water in Murcia for golf courses? I don't know. I don't know. How much water do you need for a golf course? I don't know. Probably a lot if you want grass. That's all I'm going to say. El Conquistador, hola niños, from a hot and humid Pontevedra beach in Florida. Thanks for that, El Conquistador. And what else we got going on here in the chat? Let me just see. Let me have a see. Mark is saying here, I can't even put anything on the plants in my garden, even though I'm 30 kilometres from the Mar Menor. No fertiliser, no weed killer, no insecticide, nada. Thanks for that. Maybe with the farmers, obviously it's not realistic. But again, Murcia, huge farming activity going on there. I mean, I've never seen so many fruit trees and other types of things growing in that part of Spain. What else? What else we got going on? Let's have a look. Larry coming in from Tazacorte, La Palma, 25 degrees there today with a nice breeze. Leonor saying thank you, Leonor, for your thank you. John also in San Diego, one more to the contingent. A little from column A. It's a bit of a cheek for Spain not to raise their NATO spending, considering how many handouts they have had from the rest of Europe to help them out of a hole. In recent times, there does seem to have been a lot of money coming into Spain from the European Union. That is true. Thanks for your opinion. Anne-Marie, just home from almost 2 glorious weeks in Spain, Barcelona, Girona, and some of the smaller towns. So you're actually in Poland there, Anne-Marie. And back to Baton Rouge, 90 degrees and very high humidity. Thanks for that. Brad, hola, de Inglaterra. Thanks, Brad, coming in from England. Elena's coming in from the USA, Florida to be exact. Andrea saying here, felt compelled to share the temperature here in coastal Gloucester County in Virginia. A very humid 38 degrees Fahrenheit. 38 degrees Fahrenheit or Celsius, I imagine that is, Andrea. But if it's 38 Fahrenheit, I don't think it's that hot. But I reckon it would be Celsius there. What else we got going on here? Oh, yeah. Andrew's saying, Dave's here in the chat, coming in from Florida, watching while grabbing a bite of lunch. Lunchtime, Dave. Have a sandwich. Or something more nutritious with a little bit of that organic olive oil on top of the bread. Andrew's saying, hit the like button. Helps to keep me motivated to do the videos. Well, we've just hit 100 likes, and I don't think I even asked for the like icon today. So thanks, Andrew, for that one. Is the Mar Menor plagued with jellyfish? Don't know, Andrew. I didn't go for a swim in the Mar Menor. In fact, it was 35 degrees, and no one where I was swimming in the Mar Menor. It was an empty beach. The pools were full. Lots of people in pools. No one where I was in Las Urrutias, I think it is, was swimming in the Mar Menor. All right, back to Florida just in time for mango season as well as hurricane season. Yes, Dave, that is true. The hurricane season just around the corner, if not hitting already. what else we got going on here? Let's have a look. Antonio saying how to speak good English. Appreciate it. It's just my advice, Antonio. I've got nothing against. I mean, I've spent years teaching English. I've heard people whose language is not English speaking trying to improve. But now my point is simply that with the technology that we have at our fingertips, everybody has access to this. It's free as well. ChatGPT is free. Still, Google has one as well. Facebook has AI. Just put in what you want to say and say, please translate this to Spanish. In fact, it is so good. I'll do a demonstration here live, right? So let me get ChatGPT on the phone, and I'm going to ask it to do something. So let's see if we can get this. Let's see if we can all hear this. 1 minute. Hi, could you translate this into Spanish for me? Stuart, thanks for telling us how good... Sorry, I'll repeat that. Stuart, thanks for telling us how to speak good English. I really appreciate it. Can you tell me what that would be in Spanish?
Sure, you could say, Stuart, gracias por enseñarnos a hablar buen inglés. Lo aprecio mucho. Let me know if you'd like any tweaks.
Oh, that's all. That's all. Thanks for that. But it's really easy to translate things with you nowadays, right? You just say anything in English and it comes out in perfect Spanish.
I'm always happy to help. It's definitely convenient to have a quick translation buddy. If you ever need help with anything else, just let me know.
There we go. There we go. And perfect Spanish accent. So that's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. Renon's in the chat as well. Sorry, I'll just turn you off there. I'll just turn you off there. There we go. All right, so Renon's in the chat. Hello, Stu. What else we got going on? Hello, Renon. Good to see you. And that's the end of the chat. So thank you, everybody, for watching today. I wasn't having a go at that person's bad English, so don't get offended out there. Just use the technology that we have, and you can speak any language nowadays. You probably can't speak it, but you can understand any language. You can get anything translated, especially in the common languages, into English, into Spanish, into French, into German, into Portuguese. So use the technology. That is my point. I'm going to wrap the video up. Thanks for watching this evening. Back again maybe later in the week with another live stream. More content coming out in the meantime. Hope to see you then. Hasta luego. Adios.
It's definitely amazing how technology can help.